Okay, so picture this. It's 1947 and a country of over 300 million people is huddled around radio, listening to their new leader make a promise. Not a promise about money or army size, a promise to basically end poverty, illiteracy, disease, and inequality all in one go. Fast forward to now, that same country has satellites in orbit, a stock market worth trillions, and million billionaires than most continents combined. But walk into streets away from any those shiny tech parks, and you will still find a kid who has never held a proper textbook. So, what actually happened to that promise? And honestly, the more interesting question is this: is your own country doing the exact same thing right now, just with better marketing? Imagine a tiny school building way out near Calcutta, a bunch of kids crowded around one crackling sound. It's the night before independence. There's still this raw memory of a brutal famine that killed millions just a few years earlier, and the grim joke going around was basically I survived that only because of what class I was born into. Then this voice comes through the static talking about the trials with destiny. Sound poetic, right? But the actual to-do list attached to it was brutal. Wipe out poverty, wipe out ignorance, wipe out disease, wipe out unequal opportunity. All of it. It sounded like the opening line of a fairy tale. What it actually turned into was this decades long, messy, real world experiment that the whole world has quietly been watching ever since because it kind of explains why some countries take off fast and others limp around unevenly. If you actually wanted to check whether the promise got kept, you would need three separate report cards, one for democracy, one for social equality, and one for the economy. Most people just glance at one of these and call it a day. And that's exactly where people get the story wrong. Democracy. Honestly, this one pretty solid pass. Elections kept happening, governments kept losing and stepping down peacefully. Courts kept doing their job, and even when someone tried to mess with basic rights, voters shut it down. A foreign journalist once confidently wrote that he had just witnessed this democracy's last election. That was decades ago. It's still going, loud, chaotic, argumentative, but very much alive. Social equality is where it gets rough. Literacy went up, but super unevenly. Life expectancy improved a lot, but a mom in a village and a mom in city were basically living in two different centuries when it came to healthcare. And the gap between men and women in education and opportunity stayed wide enough that half the population was running the race with a weight tied to their leg. The economy is the slow burn plot twist. For the first few decades, growth crawled along so slowly that economists literally made fun of the growth rate. Then in early 90s, a bunch of reforms started upon the old system of bureaucratic red tape, and suddenly the same country jumped from crawling at 3% growth to hitting 7 to 8%. Global trade opened up and a whole new wave of entrepreneurs, especially in tech hubs, started competing on the world stage. So three report cards, one strong pass, one weak pass, and one wild comeback story in the second half. Here's where it gets genuinely interesting. Right next door, another huge Asian country was running basically the same experiment, minus the democracy part. That neighboring country went through one of the worst famines in human history, one that historians think killed over 20 million people, and it took years to even fix the policy causing it, simply because there was no opposition party, no free press, no election forcing anyone to change course. Meanwhile, the democratic country never had a single famine after independence, not one, because a government that actually has to face voters cannot just let people starve quietly. The trials with destiny was never a one-time thing that got settled in 1947. It was more like a standing appointment, renewed every single year, depending on whether people actually kept showing up to demand it. So, yeah, this isn't just a history lesson, it's a live question every fast growing country, including probably yours, is still answering right now. If you love the video, please do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.